Welcome back. Large crowds lined the streets of Kinshasa today to welcome Pope Francis as he arrived in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Well, this is the first papal visit to the Central African nation since John Paul II visited back in 1985, when the country was still known then as Zaire. Well, about half of the country's population of 90 million is Roman Catholic. Well, the DRC has some of the world's richest deposits of diamonds, gold, copper and other precious raw materials. But speaking there earlier on today, the 86-year-old pontiff condemned what he called economic colonialism on the African continent.
This country and this continent deserve to be respected and listened to. They deserve to find space and receive attention. Hands off the Democratic Republic of Congo. Hands off Africa. Stop choking Africa. Africa is not a mine to be stripped or a terrain to be plundered. May Africa be the protagonist of its own destiny.
The Pope speaking there in the DRC. Well, let's get some more analysis, and we can speak now to Kris Berwouts, who is author, columnist and a consultant. You're also an expert on Central Africa. Thank you so much for joining us. What's the significance of this visit to the DRC and to the region by the Pope?
Well, I think it's very important. As you mentioned, it's the first time in decades. And then, of course, we should not forget that at this particular moment, Congo is in a very difficult situation. Politically, it's confused because we are supposed to have elections before the end of the year, and it's not clear if they will make it to prepare them. And then, most of all, the situation in terms of security is dramatic. There is a war going on in the east, and people do not see a way out. I think that the visit of the Pope gives the Congolese the feeling that they are not forgotten, because that's a feeling they often have.
Does the Catholic Church still have considerable influence, would you say, in the DRC and more broadly in the region?
Yes. The Catholic Church in Congo, at least, is a very relevant political actor. Well, not political, but within the civil society. It has a huge capacity to mobilize people, as they did, but at the end of Kabila's regime, and they still have it. So the Catholic Church remains very important.
That message we heard from the Pope just before we crossed to you, part of the sort of the broader hands-off the DRC, hands-off Africa message that the Pope brought with him, that's likely to have resonated with the audience, isn't it?
Yes, the Pope stressed on very important issues and put them also in a broader picture of Africa. But maybe many Congolese will have expected something more specific. There is a conflict, there is a plundering, but please give us the name of who's doing this. I think a lot of Congolese would have expected a reference to Rwanda.
Indeed, and some people might have accused the Vatican of some degree of hypocrisy as well, given that the Vatican has been present on the continent for a very long time. As you mentioned earlier on, presidential elections are due to be held later this year in the DRC. Is this an opportunity, would you say, for the incumbent to make a bit of political mileage?
The impression you had also through messages today of official messages of the government is that indeed Tshisekedi and the people around him would like to take the credit of this important visit. I'm not sure if that will work, basically, because a lot of Congolese also see the disadvantage of the visit. It cost a lot of money. Some people, some civil servants have not been paid in Kinshasa because the money was necessary to prepare the visit. People who are struggling in their daily life to survive are not helped by this visit. It's almost trivial, but people got stuck this morning in traffic jams because of the Pope's visit. So there is not only enthusiasm in Congo. People ask themselves, is it all worth doing this because we suffer?
Indeed. So, I mean, is this visit therefore going to bring any lasting benefits to the country, something that many will be wondering.
Well, the main question is, will this visit create a moment, a momentum, let's say? At this moment, there is absolutely no sign of reconciliation, of real dialogue between the people of Congo and the government of Congo and Rwanda. The East African community troops which are there cannot make the difference, and some people hope that the Pope will create a momentum of goodwill, of reconciliation, but that remains to be seen, of course. It's just the only few hours of his visit, which will take 4 days.
Indeed. So during the next few days, what would you like to see the Pope do or say that you think might be useful?
Well, I think that it would be interesting if the Pope is a bit more explicit, as I said, on what's exactly happening in the East, and talking about the aggression that Congo undergoes. And maybe with the elections coming, hopefully, because we cannot be sure of that, stress on transparent, free and fair elections. I also believe that the words of empathy the Pope already spoke with the population have to be repeated. The people need it, need the feeling that someone cares about us. People are looking for almost a year what's happening to Ukraine, for instance, and it's good it happens, the solidarity and the hosting the refugees and all. But the people out of Congo ask, what about us? Why are we treated in a very different way? So the empathy of the Pope, I think, at this particular moment is very important.
Okay, well, thank you. We're going to have to leave it there, but thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. Author, columnist and consultant Kris Berwouts, thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure.